in the psychedelics. But in the other psychedelics, it was like always running through my fingers. You know, it is the imagination, it's mind, it's me, it's like dream. With DMT, the conviction is unescapable that, my God, this is real. It's more real than this world. This world is like a shimmering hallucination compared to the DMT world. And as to what it means, I'm not sure. I mean, I took pure DMT with me to the Amazon on one of the trips and got out with the ayahuasqueros and turned a couple of these guys on to this. And they were, number one, appalled, and number two, said, it's ancestors. It's ancestor spirits. I mean, didn't we tell you that we do it all with the ancestors? Well, that is, strangely enough, the conservative analysis. Because look at what you've got. You've got some kind of intelligent entity, not made of matter, made of light, able to communicate with English-speaking human beings, sort of, meaning with this visual language. Well, so it's either, if we put aside the figment of your imagination theory, which seems a little pallid at this point, then it's either an extraterrestrial, a true extraterrestrial, and that's possible. I mean, think about it for a moment. If you were an extraterrestrial of great sophistication and skill and technological power, and you wanted to contact and interact with human beings without alarming them or setting off a historical crisis on their planet, how would you do it? I think you would hide yourself inside an intoxication. Because as we know, if you meet somebody and they tell you they were drinking heavily last night and they saw pink elephants, only a mad person calls the zoo to find out if any elephants have escaped. That's ridiculous. No, we don't take seriously reports of pink elephants because they are associated with intoxication. Well, if you wanted to disguise and hide yourself in the detritus of this world in a place humans would never ever take you seriously, then just slip in between the pink elephant and the something else in an intoxication. So that's one possibility. True extraterrestrials with some kind of mentalist technology where what we think of as a drug is for them a communications network of some sort. Or it could be a parallel continuum of some sort, not exactly made of matter. But how weird that the way you get from this world to that world is by using a drug. But maybe that's not so weird. Maybe the idea that you would climb in an H.G. Wells-style machine and push a button is just absurdly 19th century and naive. But the more conservative position, since we've never discovered extraterrestrials or dwellers in parallel continuums, and since these things, they are alien and yet not alien. They are alien and yet the alienness is pervaded with a real sense of familiarity. So I think that what they are is souls. And this is what the shamans in the Amazon said they were. They're souls. And that what we're seeing is an ecology of souls. And, you know, it took me the first 16 years of my life to fight my way free of the Roman Catholic Church. And I'm appalled that life's intellectual adventure has brought me back to the point where we have to talk about souls. But hey, once you've been there, once you've been swarmed by a mess of them, your view on this subject changes. And I think it's very interesting news. I don't know, well, it's like dying, sort of. And I, at one point, had an opportunity to turn on a Tibetan monk to these things, a Tibetan Lama, not a Budweiser Lama, not one of those people, a real Lama. And he's since died. He was ancient then. In fact, I was afraid it might kill him, but he said it didn't matter. But he said, after it was all over, he said, those are the lesser lights. He said, you cannot go deeper into the bardo and return. He said, if you go deeper into the bardo than this, you will sever your connection to the body. And so essentially what he was saying was it's a near-death experience. But it's a lot weirder than the near-death experiences being popularized on daytime TV and in the New Age press, which are all about welcoming relatives, holding out their arms and beckoning. This is not welcoming relatives we're talking about here. I think they are souls, but I don't think it's Aunt Minnie and Uncle Ned. I don't think it works quite like that. One of the very weird things about the DMT place that I go, and I've done it many, many times in order to build up an image of what it is, and the image that comes to me is that, I've already mentioned this thing about how it always reveals itself through veils. It never shows you what the real action is. The vibe of this place that I go on DMT is, it's a playpen, is what it is. And these self-transforming elf machines that we're going into such an ontological swivet about are nothing more than toys, is what they are. They are designed to amaze and amuse me. Someone with a very deep insight into human psychology created these things, and they're nothing more than the equivalent of taking plastic shapes strung on a string and hanging them over a bassinet so that an infant can begin to bat at them and coordinate eye, hand, distance, this sort of thing. The feeling is not only of a playpen, but of a maternity ward, that you're being born, and you're being born, and there's a lot of, what ayahuasqueros call little doctors, is what they call the things they see on ayahuasca. There are a lot of little doctors in this weird underground space, and they're waiting for you. And because you only stay 2 minutes, it doesn't get too out of hand. Because what can happen in 2 minutes? You see, you look around, they show you some toys, they tell you you're a fine fellow, they tell you not to worry, and the interview is over. But what if there was no going back? Well, then you're just there. You're a little swaddling, and you're there. And presumably beyond the confines of that room is a world as different from that room as this world is different from the general maternity ward at Kaiser Hospital. And then you go with them into that place. That's what it feels like. And I don't know what it means. What does it mean, Mr. Natural? I don't know what it means. It don't mean shit. That was Mr. Natural's answer to the question, you recall. It seems as though it should be a secret. And in a sense, it is a secret in that, it isn't the world's largest religion, is not DMT smoking. I think I said this in reference to something else. I am self-initiated. No lineage controls me. Nobody ever came knocking on my door and said, you shouldn't talk about this stuff. Nobody has ever done that to me. So I have the weird feeling, and I don't believe it, but I have the feeling that it's like I discovered it. because nobody tells me, nobody comes over and says, hey, you're on our territory, or don't talk about that. Didn't you know that we Mandayans have been doing this for 10,000 years? So, and I've been talking about it since '82 in public, and it's still a secret. It's still a secret. It's the secret that can't be told. And I'm fascinated by you people, because it is your fate, and I have no idea why, to come at least this far. I mean, maybe some of you have smoked DMT, but probably most of you haven't. So it's your fate to come this far this morning to hear this. And you can forget it. You can disbelieve it. You can think that I am a screwball and disempower it that way. But as far as I can tell, and I have searched the attic of Western and Eastern civilization, been to a lot of weird places, as far as I can tell, this is it. This is the thing which we are raised to believe is impossible. They tell you there's no doorway out except the grave. And then they tell you it's no doorway out. But even if the grave is not a doorway out, even if the grave means dissolution into nonentity for all eternity, DMT is the way out. And it exists.